I think I'm next. Hello, my name is Julian Mora. This is my expository speech. Start off with a little story. I'm always at this park and I see this human being right there, and it's a female, and she looks really familiar to me, and I always think that she's my relative, and she always has an alcoholic drink in her hand. And one day, I asked her, I was like, "Hey, are you related to me?" And she was with somebody else, and she just had her head down and she didn't say nothing to me. And her friend that was with her told me, "Oh, she has severe anxiety. I'm sorry. She's always like this." And I said, "Oh, well, maybe she should go look for some treatment." And she said, "Well, actually, for we're looking for magic mushrooms to help her." And I said, "Wow, I didn't even think that would help her." So I decided to make that the topic for my speech. And I have some I have some stats for mental health. I want you guys to know. According to healthline.com, scientists produced evidence supporting the therapeutic potential of psychedelic therapy to treat addiction and mental health conditions. And also, according to the a National Alliance of Mental Illness, 1 in 5 Americans experience a mental illness. So if that is true in Stockton, the amount of people in Stockton with a mental illness is over 6K. So today we're going to learn about psychedelic therapy. We'll be discussing what it is, how it works, and the implications. Uh, let's discuss what therapy is first. So according to Psychology Today, last access, April 4th, 2024, therapy can be called psychotherapy or talk therapy. It's a treatment for emotional distress and mental health problems. There's a treatment for individuals, couple therapy, family therapy. It's very huge in this country. Um, and according to my Denver therapy site, last access April 4th, 2024, uh, since 2020, there 30% of Americans, adults, have seen a therapist. In 2021, um, about 42 million people received some type of treatment for mental health. About 17% of American teens see a therapist for an issue, and around this past year, around 25% of women have worked with a mental health expert for their issues versus the 15% for men. So that's uh, uh, that's therapy without any drugs or psychedelics is what I want to say. So now let's discuss a specific type of therapy and arguably a very controversial type. That is psychedelic therapy. According to the National Library of Medicine, published 2015, October 6th, the title refers to psychedelic medicine as something that is reemerging. Uh, it refers to it as reemerging because in the 1950s they started doing these studies, and that ranged for about 20 years. So uh, the new investigations are the first since the 1970s, and these psychedelics that they were studying include LSD, psilocybin, ayahuasca, MDMA, and a couple more. Um, so uh, so now that we have discussed what psychedelic therapy is, let's discuss how it works. Now that uh, now according to this article I found very helpful, it taught me how it works. It's called "The Therapy Part of Psychedelic Therapy is a Mess." It describes a psychedelic therapy session as you'll be in a room, you'll most likely be on a futon. I don't know why I said a futon, and there'll be music playing, and there'll be a therapist, maybe two, watching you as you take a psychedelic drug, and they'll watch you for a couple hours to see how it affects you. And the article goes on to state that the therapy component of psychedelic therapy is not being studied enough, so there is a risk. So now um, let's discuss the actual psychedelic part and how it affects the brain. So, according to technologynetworks.com, um, there was an article that um, it discusses a study that shows how psychedelic drugs rewire the brain. The study was on LSD and magic mushrooms, which revealed details about how these ingredients and how they exert their antidepressant effects to the BDNF factor in your brain, which is an important agent for for neuro for neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity is defined as a process by which the brain's connections can reshape and form new connections. So uh, I'm not sure about any other psychedelics and how they affect your brain, but I know about LSD and magic mushrooms. So uh, let's discuss a little bit about the implications. Uh, As we mentioned, psychedelic therapy is referred to as reemerging since they stopped the studies in the 1970s. According to the same article published by the National Library of Medicine in 2015, the one I already referred to, uh, most psychedelic drugs are classified and legally scheduled as having no medical value. Another thing that the article states is that the people used in the studies, they uh, they don't have any personal or family history of psychosis or bipolar disorder, so that might impact uh, the studies and how people might feel about its value in terms of being medical. And according to the same article, there is a risk associated with psychedelics. Uh, it's psychosis and HPPD, sometimes known as flashbacks. Although it is rare and usually there are other factors involved, such as other drugs and a lot of other factors. Um, the most common effects from the administration of psychedelics are limited to the time of drug actions. These include increases in anxiety, fear, heart rate, blood pressure, and without careful supervision, fearful, it could it it cannot be safe. If if That's why it's recommended that somebody's with you when you do this. And also um uh psychedelics. If all psychedelics is not, most of them fall under the Schedule One. Um, That means, according to drugs.com, the DEA characterizes them as having a high potential for abuse and 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 it not helping you at all actually. So uh, although some states have legalized psychedelics at a state level, um, um, federally they're mostly legal. So today we learned about psychedelic therapy. We talked about psychedelic therapy. We learned what it is, how it works, and its implications. Um, Remember, 1 out of every 5 Americans have experienced a mental illness. And to go back to the story, I haven't came across the woman I talked about in the story. Uh, I hope she found some sort of treatment, whether it's psychedelics or just regular therapy, you know. So yeah, that's it. Oh, that was 6 minutes at least.